Chair, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. With deep gratitude and respect, we are honored to be learning and unlearning on the ancestral and unceded lands of the Musqueam, Skohomish and Tsleil-Waututh. Our meeting is being broadcast live, and the recordings will be available after the meeting ends. Our board has a strong commitment to ethical conduct. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that our meetings are conducted in a safe and respectful manner. As a Board of Education for a school district, it is important that we model the behavior we expect of students in our schools. There's a link provided on our website for questions to be submitted for our public question period, which is item 11 on the agenda. The link will remain active until immediately following the student trustee report, which is item 7 on the agenda. Friendly reminder to those submitting questions, they are around board policy and board related items, not to be personal or specific in nature, or school based. Those go to the principal. For the meeting tonight, staff and trustees are in person at the boardroom here at the Education Center, and I welcome Superintendent McGregor, Secretary Treasurer Flavia Coughlin, and my fellow trustees who I'll ask to introduce themselves, starting on my right.
Preeti Friedko, trustee.
Josh Sang, trustee.
Christopher Richardson, trustee.
Trustee Reddy, she, her.
Alfred Chin, trustee.
Lois Champedley, trustee.
Susie Ma, trustee.
Freddie Zhang, student trustee.
Janet Fraser, trustee.
And vice chair. I'd also, as mentioned, we welcome our student trustee, Freddie Zhang, and tonight our meeting has two parts. We're going to begin with the annual organizational meeting and then move on to our regular board meeting. First, we'll go to actually my annual report, which is written and produced by the chair and with the help of our comms team, of course. And so in my 3 years as chair, I've seen the efforts of everyone around this board table, together with staff making meaningful impacts to student learning. This year has been no different. While many of our decisions as a board have been difficult ones to make, I'm grateful our collaboration has kept student learning and well-being at the center. This year, our board advanced our vision for public education through collaboration, resilience, and a shared commitment to students, families, and staff. We strengthened governance, updated key policies, and maintained fiscal responsibility, redirecting resources to classrooms and investing in supports for students and for staff. Our advocacy efforts secured sustainable funding, enhanced food security, and improved facilities, including seismic upgrades and accessibility enhancements across our schools. I'm profoundly grateful for the contributions of our trustees, staff, inherent rights holders, and stakeholder groups. Your feedback and partnerships have shaped our decisions and helped us maintain or remain responsive to the evolving needs of our community. Trustees have deepened connections with school communities, celebrated student achievements, and fostered inclusive, supportive environments. As we look to the future, I'm confident this board will continue to champion equity, strengthen partnerships, and ensure public education remains a pillar of opportunity and belonging for all. Thank you to everyone who has taken the time to share their perspectives, including those from VSB Voices, at PAC meetings, through the District Parent Advisory Council, and through our delegation. Thank you for your perspectives that support the work that we do on the board. We'll move to item 2.2. So in accordance with Board Policy 7, the Secretary Treasurer will conduct the election of chairperson and vice chairperson of the board following the chairperson and vice chairperson nomination and election procedure. I will pass the chair now to Secretary Treasurer Flavia Coughlin, who will chair the meeting during the election of board chairperson and board vice chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. We will begin the election process with the appointment of scrutineers. And the motion is that Alison Ogden and Laura Lee Russell be appointed scrutineers for the election of board chairperson and vice chairperson. Do I have a mover? Moved by trustee Moss, seconded by trustee Young. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. I will now ask the scrutineers to distribute the ballots for the nomination of chairperson. There will be one ballot distributed to each trustee. And I ask trustees to clearly print the name of the person that they wish to nominate as chairperson for the 1 year ended November 2026. And the scrutineers will collect your completed ballots in the ballot box. This was the nomination. So we will now wait for the scrutineers to return with the ballot. We have received nominations for 3 trustees, so I will go in alphabetical order. Nomination for trustee Janet Fraser. Trustee Fraser, do you accept the nomination and let your name stand for election for the office of board chairperson?
No, thank you. I decline the nomination.
Thank you, trustee Fraser. Also received a nomination for trustee Reddy. Trustee Reddy, do you accept the nomination and let your name stand for the election for the office of board chairperson?
Thank you, but I decline.
The third and final nomination received is for trustee Victoria Young. Trustee Young, do you accept the nomination and let your name stand for election for the office of the board chairperson?
I accept. Thank you.
Thank you. Given that we only have one trustee that has accepted the nomination, I can now declare that trustee Young is the duly elected chairperson for the Board of Education of School District Number 39, Vancouver, for a 1-year period ended November 2026. Congratulations, trustee Young.
Thank you. Thank you for trusting me.
And now we are going to move on to the process for the election of vice chairperson for the board. for the year ended November 2026, and I'll ask the scrutineers to deliver to each trustee the ballot for nomination for the office of the vice chairperson. Once again, we have 3 trustees that have been nominated for the position of board vice chairperson. And I will go in order. First, trustee Christopher Richardson. Trustee Richardson, do you accept the nomination and let your name stand for the election for the office of board vice chairperson?
I will. I'd be pleased.
Thank you. Trustee Janet Fraser is the next trustee that has been nominated. And trustee Fraser, do you accept the nomination and let your name stand for the election for the office of vice chairperson?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
And the final nomination is for trustee Preeti Friedcoat. Trustee Friedcoat, do you accept the nomination? Let your name stand for election for the office of the board vice chair.
Yes, I do.
Before we go to the vote, each nominee has 3 minutes to speak to the nomination, and we'll go in the order that we had accepted the nomination. So first, trustee Richardson.
Thank you, Secretary Treasurer. I guess through the chair, but maybe you're the chair, so that's fine. I would be pleased to now offer my experience and passion for public education for all students to strive and thrive in our inclusive special education environment. We are all acutely aware of the uncertainties that will challenge us or challenge our ability to continue to provide all students with the supports that have been identified to address their needs. We need only look at the most recent enterprise risk management and discussion document, page 40, that clearly indicates this concern. I would offer my willingness to step forward, to speak up when the process requires it, to ensure that our education plan is, when it's our education, the successful implementation is threatened. We will face a number of complexities to address these issues in an ever-present structural deficit, numerous legal matters, and the ever elusive need to reconfirm our commitment to neighborhood schools whenever possible. And yes, I admit that I have been distracted recently in the last couple of years, and lack the ability to take a leadership role once again. But that impediment ended ceremoniously this morning, earlier today, with a few steps across the UBC convocation stage. I would therefore seek consideration to be your VSB vice chair for the next year. However, if not selected, I would offer my commitment to work tirelessly along with each of you to ensure that enhancing student learning is our North Star, to ensure that we all truly embrace that we must do the best we can and not allow excuses that may arise that will constrain our ability to address the needs of all our students, staff, teachers, and administrators. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Richardson. I will ask now Trustee Fraser if she would like to speak to a nomination.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you to everyone for being here tonight and for my fellow trustees for our work. We've been here as a board for 3 years now. And I'd like to reflect on, we have been elected by the people of Vancouver, the 9 trustees around the table, and we are continuing that democratic process by electing our leaders from amongst ourselves this evening. I would like to acknowledge everyone who's put their name forward, accepted a nomination. This is part of the process that we go through, and it gives us a chance to engage in that discussion. I think I have a lot to contribute as vice chair. I have a lot of experience on the board. I have a lot of experience living in Vancouver. I wasn't born in Vancouver, so I bring, and I wasn't born in Canada. I bring a perspective from another country, but my 3 children were born here and graduated through the VSB schools. We are coming towards the end of our education plan. The education plan has been instrumental in the work that we've done during this board to make sure that we address the needs of every student, that we engage in truth and reconciliation, that we are working against racism, that we are trying to make our schools as welcoming and as inclusive as possible, while acknowledging we live in a society that is, still striving to meet the ideals that I would like to see. We are in the last year of our board, so we will be transitioning to a new education plan. So everything we've done in the 5 years, we can set the foundations for the next board to have a strong route for success. As we as trustees are elected for a 4-year term, but we have to think in the long term and not under short time frames. We typically don't shepherd a student through their entire K-12 education in one go. So thank you for your consideration. And as my colleague said, if I'm not elected, I will continue to contribute with a full heart to the school board, to live up to my commitment, to work with integrity as a trustee here in Vancouver.
Thank you, Trustee Fraser. Trustee Friedcoat, would you like to speak to the nomination?
I just want to say that the vice chair role is about strengthening the board leadership and not getting a spotlight for themselves. It's not an individual spotlight, so I'm prepared to step in when needed to support the board, to support the chair in maintaining any continuity, support smooth and professional government by bringing people together, and keep our focus on what actually matters the most, which is safe school, strong outcomes, and opportunities for every student. I show up, I do the work, and I stay engaged. I have 3 kids in the school system right now, and I know what the challenges are, and I see that on a regular basis, and I'm always working towards making it better for every single student out there. Okay? Whether I'm selected as a vice chair or not, my commitment to the school board My commitment to the community out there, it's still strong. And I just want to say thank you for again, to my fellow trustees for nominating me. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Friedgut. We will now proceed to the election for the position of Vice Chairperson, and I'll ask the scrutineers to distribute ballot number 1. Trustees, you can cast your vote for only one nominee, so either Trustee Richardson or Trustee Fraser or Trustee Friedgut. Thank you, scrutineers. We have no clear majority yet, so the trustee with the fewest votes is Trustee Richardson. So the name will be dropped from the next ballot, and we will proceed with the second ballot. And the only two names that you can vote for are either Trustee Fraser or Trustee Friedgut. CPA Canada, I done one. Like $100, $50, $100. Yeah, very cheap. Thank you, scrutineers. We now have one trustee that has received a majority of votes, and I can declare that trustee Fraser is the duly elected vice chairperson for the Board of Education of School District 39 Vancouver for a one-year period ended November 2026. Congratulations, trustee Fraser. We will now move to get a motion to destroy the ballots and discharge the scrutineers. So the motion is that the scrutineers destroy the ballots for the nomination of chairperson and vice chairperson and election of vice chairperson, and that the scrutineers are discharged. Sorry, that's not the one that's displayed. So, I'm sorry, just making sure that we have the right. Nope. No, because there was no. So it's. That is the correct motion. Can I get a mover, trustee Ma, and seconded trustee Young? All those in favor? The motion carries unanimously. Scrutineers, please destroy the ballots, and I will provide the summaries to you as well to destroy. And with this, I will pass the chair back to trustee Young. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Secretary Treasurer Coughlin. I appreciate your assistance with this. I'll invite board vice chairperson to provide any remarks before the board, before I speak and before we move on.
Just thank you to my colleagues, and I look forward to working with everyone in the coming year.
I would like to thank you all as well. I'm honored to represent us and to represent the board and to fight for things that are important to all of us and to the people and students and families of Vancouver. I want to thank my colleagues who put their name forward, who weren't successful in securing a seat, but continually show leadership and step up and show up for the board and for students in our district. So thank you very much to all of you. And I rely heavily on you, and I can't thank you enough for the amount of hours that you put in and for all the work that you do. We will now move on to approval of the agenda. Thank you to the scrutineers as well. I'd like to I'll move the approval of the agenda as presented. Is there a seconder? Trustee Richardson, thank you. Any amendments proposed? Seeing none, okay. All those in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. Number 4 on the agenda, adoption of minutes. We'd like to adopt the minutes of public delegation meeting of October 27th, 2025, meeting of October the 29th, 2025. And let me just, and matters arising from the minutes. So under matters arising, I just want to make sure that we've updated it as per tonight's last meeting. One moment. Okay, under matters arising, is there a mover and seconder to adopt the minutes of October the 27th? Thank you very much. 2025 Public Delegation Board meeting and October 29th, 2025. Trustee Friedcoat, thank you. Trustee Fraser, any questions about the minutes? Trustee Ma.
Thank you, Chair. So unfortunately, I was not at the board meeting on the 29th of October, and my understanding is that at that meeting, policy 7 and 8 were adopted. So my question to the chair or to the policy and governance chair or whoever can answer this question, my understanding is that there was a motion by Trustee Reddy and amendments by Trustee Friedcott to deal with policy 7, and that those two motions were referred to the policy and governance committee meeting. So when policy 7 and 8 were adopted on the 29th of October, does that mean that the matter that Trustee Reddy and Trustee Friedcott brought forward has been dealt with, like deemed dealt with? Can you answer that question, or can someone? Thank you.
So procedurally, those two motions were dealt with at the June meeting when the board decided to create an ad hoc committee to prepare a draft policy 7 and 8 that incorporates all the feedback from the committees and the many motions that were passed or considered in the year 2023-24. The adoption of the policy 7 and 8 concludes the process for consideration for all those motions and the feedback that was collected through the process.
Chair, I have another question.
Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you through the chair. So I was looking back at some of the former minutes of when we were doing the revisions of policies, and I noticed that several of them said that there was a motion to actually rescind the old policy and adopt the new policy as amended. So this process that we undertook this time was different in the past, because although we know that the work that was done by the Policy and Governance Committee, as the Secretary Treasurer just said, deemed that Reddy's motion and Friedcott's amendments were dealt with, I'm just wondering why we had a different process for these two policies, where, I mean, typically, if there are amendments, then you would have to rescind the old policy and then adopt the new policy as amended, right? And it wasn't a complete replacement of policy 7 and 8. They were amendments. So I guess, again, I just wanted to know why in the past we rescinded, and in this respect, we just went ahead and adopted.
Sorry, just for clarification, when you say we rescinded, because I've been a part of many policy updates and edits, and help me understand, you say we rescinded them before approving the new one?
No, can I, Chair? can I
Please, yeah,
speak?
go
Okay.
ahead.
So at one of the meetings, the motion that was brought forward to the board was to rescind policy X and adopt the amended. So I went back and I looked at some of those. To me, it's not going to change the outcome. It's just the process and being consistent. That's all I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
I'm not,
do you know which one we rescinded on? Because that process, I'm just confused as to, I don't recall. but-
you know what? I didn't write it down when I went back and looked at several of them, and I noticed that on some of them it was rescind, on some of them it was just adopt. So I guess what I'm saying is that maybe perhaps when we do the next series of revisions, right, when we deal with other policies, maybe we should look back and see what the process is to ensure that it's consistent. Because there's a thing such as rescinding and replacing, and then there's wholesale replacement if you're redoing the entire policy.
Trustee Fraser?
I can say that for some of the policies, they no longer exist. So we've done work fairly recently to combine the role of the board chair and the role of the vice chair into one policy. And I think in that instance, we did rescind the role of the vice chair because that policy no longer existed. I'm not sure if that's the circumstance you're referring to, but that's what springs to mind when you're talking about rescinding.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments before we go to approve? There are no objections from trustees. Okay, seeing none, we'll adopt the minutes of October 27th, Public Delegation Board Meeting, and October 29th, 2025 Board Meeting by consensus. Thank you. Matters arising. Any other ones? Okay, great. We'll move to Superintendent's update. I will ask Superintendent McGregor to take it away.
Thank you very much. Next slide, please. So with great pleasure, I get to recognize folks with a superintendent's tribute. So this evening, the tribute is for Ben Shepherd. Welcome. Since joining the Grounds Department in 2022, Ben Shepherd has become an invaluable member of the Britannia community. In just 3 years, his vision and dedication have transformed the campus into a safe, welcoming, and inclusive environment for students, staff, and neighbors. Ben approaches his work with courage and determination. This mindset reflects his willingness to tackle challenges head-on and his commitment to excellence. Whether identifying areas for improvement or implementing creative solutions, Ben consistently goes above and beyond his responsibilities. His impact is visible in every corner of our grounds. Each morning, Ben undertakes what is arguably his most challenging task, ensuring the campus is safe and welcoming before students arrive to make sure the school day starts safely. Beyond this daily commitment, Ben has taken on major projects that have restored and improved our facilities at Britannia. He painstakingly expanded the width of the running track, uncovering the original concrete border after years of overgrowth. He removed rotting wood from concrete walkways and replaced it with asphalt to eliminate slipping hazards. He even pressure washed the entire tennis court to ensure safe play for students and community members. These efforts reflect his dedication to creating spaces that are not only functional, but also inviting. Ben's warmth and positivity make him a true bridge between the school and the community. He listens, supports, and responds to staff and student needs with care and creativity. His humor and creativity shine through community celebrations, like his year-long commitment to growing the perfect beard for his Halloween costume. We'll have to see some photos of evidence later. This blend of commitment, creativity, and community spirit makes Ben truly exceptional. Ben reminds us that real change requires courage, and he meets each challenge with determination. His work is more than maintenance. It is a legacy of care, vision, and transformation that benefit all community members for years to come. Ben, we want to thank you for everything you do and for the way that you do it. We appreciate you, we celebrate you, and we are grateful you are part of the Britannia community and the VSB community. Congratulations. I was just explaining the plaque, and it's a picture of a canoe and people paddling in the canoe together. And it really, when I think about the words that I shared this evening, it really represents your commitment to the VSB and the Britannia community in specific explanation. So thank you so much. I'm going to invite anybody who's here this evening to support Ben. Please come on up. That's everybody. And we're going to take a few photos. Bear with us, people watching online. This is an important part for us, is we know that people don't do this alone. They do it in collaboration with many. So come on up and we'll get a photo. Thank you and congratulations, Ben, and all of his supporters. Always wonderful to recognize amazing things and the work that's happening across the district. So very thankful for Ben being here this evening. We can move on to the next slide. Following the theme of recognition, earlier this month we celebrated support staff, recognizing all of the dedicated individuals who keep schools running and help students thrive. From building engineers and tradespeople who maintain safe and welcoming facilities, to supervision aides who ensure student safety, support staff are a pillar of our education system. Support staff move entire schools during seismic upgrades, serve nutritious meals with a smile, and provide vital care to learners with diverse needs. Their work is often behind the scenes, but their impact is front and center in the lives of students. In honor of support staff's lasting impact across VSB, the Support Staff Recognition Scholarship was created. Each year, 2 scholarships of $2,500 are awarded to graduating students to support their post-secondary journey. Many thanks to all the support staff across VSB whose impact is felt by students every day. And you can see some examples on the screen. Next slide. There were several professional development opportunities available for educators, staff, and students this past Friday. More than 600 educators and staff attended Inclusion in Action, Fostering Inclusive and Equitable Learning Environments, hosted by the VSB. The full-day professional development opportunity was hosted at John Oliver Secondary and included a keynote by Dr. Carly Christensen. Her talk entitled Reimagining Inclusion Through Disability Justice inspired everyone to play a part in the movement towards inclusive education. Later, attendees participated in several workshops on topics ranging from technology-based classroom strategies to supporting gifted learners. I can say, and I spent some time at the sessions, a really inspiring opportunity to talk about what's very important for learners across our district. You can see in the image on the screen, you see some staff in safety vests. Food staff had a chance to visit the Greater Vancouver Food Bank to learn more about the partnership between the food bank and the VSB. Staff toured facilities, learned about the Greater Vancouver Food Bank suppliers, and sat down for a meal together. Since September, VSB has received 524 kilos of products, and students have received nearly 1,000 pieces of fruit through this partnership, which we're very, very thankful for. Also on Friday, students from across VSB gathered at Eric Hamber Secondary for a district-wide student forum. The morning was spent hearing from an expert panel, and it followed with a debate about AI. The panel was comprised of 2 students and 2 industry professionals who brought knowledge of the current social media landscape. I was able to be there and witness and participate in the conversations and was thoroughly inspired by the deep, deep conversations on a day when students did not need to be in school, but they gathered at Hamburg. Talking about students, and Freddie's going to talk a little bit more about this later on this evening. I also had a chance to spend time with the VDSC at their retreat yesterday. Trustees Fraser, Ma Richardson, and Chair Young were able to join for part of the day. I really appreciated hearing the discussions about their values and prioritizing and choosing what their top values were, but also their community agreements. And what things they don't want to be part of the work of the VDSC, but also what really matters to them and they want to be part of their collective work. And some of the words that were listed by the students included things like respect, kindness, constructive feedback, positivity, active listening, and problem solving. And I felt, in that room quite inspired by the student voices and the framing of how they want to do their work this year. So very thankful that I was able to attend as well. Next slide. On November 6th, Career Programs hosted a construction trades information night for students and their families to explore how trades training and apprenticeships can support graduation pathways. More than 70 students from VSB high schools and alternative programs attended the event, gaining insights from industry leaders, employers, training partners, business associations, and support organizations such as the BC Centre for Women in Trades and the youth team from Skilled Trades BC, who we work with frequently. Throughout the fall, careers program teachers have visited all secondary schools and many vast programs, providing students an opportunity to ask questions and consider unique and meaningful pathways to graduation. This all culminates with the celebration of Career Education Week in the province of British Columbia from November 24th to 28th. And I'd like to play a short video featuring a few VSB students and their learning through career programs. So I'll pass it over to the team to play that video.
Hey District News, it's VSB Bobby here. Did you know there's more than one path to graduation? One of those paths is through VSB's career programs. Come with me as we visit students in the program at their various work sites. Let's check it out.
My name is Simran.
My name is Avery Lowe.
My name is Ava Bradley.
Right now I'm in the healthcare assistant program.
Architectural CAD and graphics technician program.
A part of the trade sampler.
What's a day in the life for you?
So you basically help perform care and you help the nurse in any way. Every Friday you learn a different skill. So like one Friday you'll learn bed making and then you learn that in the morning and then you have the afternoon to practice.
So a typical day, it can range anywhere from maybe 4 to 5 hours. We usually have 2 to 3 classes. I've always had an interest in architecture and design, so I always took drafting classes, art classes, and that's kind of the main fundamentals of this class.
Just finished with cement masonry, and next week we're doing electrical trades, but we've tried welding, plumbing, and rigging as well.
How has your experience been so far?
Overall, the program's been really fun and it's been really interesting. The teachers are so nice. Everybody's here to help you and it's like kind of like your school family.
So I love this program. I think it's really nice just to be able to really focus in on something.
It's been really fun and I've been learning a lot, and like it's allowed me to think about different career paths.
So how does this support your career goals?
Right after the program, you can work as a certified healthcare assistant, and then if you want to like keep going in education, you can. But the healthcare assistant program, once you're done in April, you have the certificate, and yeah, that's your career.
I want to become an architect. That's my main goal. I think it's going to be really beneficial to have this fundamental knowledge.
I'll be able to transition to a job, hopefully straight out of high school.
Any final thoughts?
You should definitely try it out. I thought that I was not going to make it and that I wasn't going to enjoy it. No, I absolutely love it. It's so good. I love meeting new people and just like the teachers, everything about it is just so amazing. So it's a great opportunity that the VSB gives.
That was so cool. If you want to learn more about VSB's career programs and hear more of those exciting student career stories, check out our latest podcast coming out in December, where we talk about VSB career programs and are joined by a special guest from Vancouver Community College. Stay tuned so you don't miss when the episode drops. See you there.
Thank you for watching along. It's very awesome to hear the voices of students, and thank you to VSB Bobby on our communications team. Next slide. Last week, we hosted an After the Bell live session for families that was all about learning updates, formerly known as report cards. This discussion covered what learning updates communicate, why the name changed from report cards, and how the BC Proficiency Scale is used for assessment, and how parents and caregivers can support their child's learning. We saw in the teaser from the previous slide, our next After the Bell episode will feature the educators and students who are part of career programs. And I'll just note it was a live session, but it's also recorded, so available for anybody to view for your learning opportunities. So please share that with anybody who's interested in that topic. Thank you. If we move to the next slide. So we have a great opportunity to work very closely as part of the Learning by Nature program in partnership with the BC Parks Foundation. And you can see some images of students there on the screen. Students have had the opportunity to participate in a session to design outdoor spaces, outdoor learning spaces, and provide suggestions for features that they would like included in their outdoor spaces. Each of these schools David Lloyd George and Grenfell have recently undergone or are undergoing seismic upgrades. By working together in collaborative groups, students thought up ideas for water conservation, pollinator gardens, and insect hotels. They also worked with the placement of features such as trees, benches, and paved areas. So we're very much looking forward to seeing the outcomes of this very positive work. Once again, students actively involved in really meaningful opportunities. Next slide. We're excited to announce our third annual VSB Gives Back campaign, an initiative focused on giving back to a community partner that does so much for our students. This year, we're proud again to support the Vancouver Firefighters Charity and their Snacks for Kids program. This impactful program has been instrumental in providing our schools with essential healthy snacks, an array of fresh fruits and vegetables, and nourishing meals. The Vancouver Firefighters Charity plays a vital role in ensuring that our students have access to the nutritious food they need to thrive. As you may recall, last year, VSB Gives Back campaign raised more than $30,000 for the charity Backpack Buddies through our Education Center Pancake Breakfast, Workshop Barbecue, and the IUOA Pancake Breakfast, all events that are coming up soon. Those of you at the Education Center who've been in our elevators today will have seen the posters for this great initiative to make a contribution. And if we move to the last slide of my presentation this evening, the annual retreat for Indigenous grade 12 students that was open to every secondary school in the VSB was held at Cheakamus Center on November 24th and 25th. More than 40 student participants and 14 VSB staff attended, with additional support from the Cheakamus Center staff. Students engaged in a variety of activities, including salmon study, forest study with Indigenous perspectives, nature art, Indigenous games, wool weaving, and woodworking, as well as team building, campfire, storytelling, and cultural workshops. The retreat fosters connection, cultural learning, and celebration for Indigenous students as they approach graduation, reinforcing VSB's commitment to supporting Indigenous youth across all secondary schools. This retreat is a vivid example of our education plan in action, centering student well-being, voice, and belonging, and bringing to life our commitment to equity, Indigenous ways of knowing, and authentic learning experiences for every student. Thank you, Chair. That's the end of my report this evening.
Thank you very much. It's great to see everything going on in the district and what's coming up. And I look forward to seeing Trustee Chen flipping pancakes again at 7 a.m. for all those who attend the fundraiser. We'll now move to item 6 on the agenda, which is committee reports. First, we have the Education Plan Committee. I'll ask Trustee Chen to move receipt of the report.
Hi, Chair. The report of November 5th, 2025, the Education Plan Committee is in agenda. I move receipt for the report.
Thank you. Is there a second? Trustee Ma, I appreciate that. If there are there any questions? Okay, seeing none. If there are no objections, we'll receive the report by consensus. Okay, wonderful. Moving to matters arising. Trustee Chen.
Chair, there are no matter risings.
Thank you. Next item is Facilities Planning Committee, and I'll ask the chair of that committee, Trustee Friedcote, to move receipt.
Thank you, Chair. I'll move the receipt for the report of November 5th, 2025 Facility Planning Committee meeting.
Seconded by Trustee Fraser. Any questions? Okay, if there are no objections, we'll receive the report by consensus. Okay, thank you. Matters arising. Trustee Friedcote.
Yes, Chair, we have a recommendation from the Facilities Planning Committee regarding the downtown catchment boundary change. I will move that the board approve the school catchment boundary change outlined in option C for the downtown area, and that staff implement the new catchment boundary for the 2026-2027 school year.
Seconder. Trustee Richardson, thank you. I just want to note that's page 32 of 232 in the agenda package. Is there discussion? Any discussion? No? Okay. Oh, Trustee Fraser?
Yeah, thank you. I was just going to say thank you to the staff who did all the work behind the scenes to bring this forward to us. The three options were quite similar and had, while option C was preferred by more people, it was quite an even split. So I think it's landed quite well on the different neighborhoods in the downtown and the trying to balance out the enrollment at the 4 schools. And I know we do have, part of the report is that we have the new elementary school at Olympic Village coming forward. So that will again change the boundaries downtown and increase our capacity. So, obviously we've been able to nearly get the new Cole Harbour School open. We are well on that process. We're starting the process we're partway through the process on the Olympic Village School. So I think this is part of the work that takes more than one board, more than one 4-year term to get completed. So I'll look forward to the next board's term as the subsequent schools come through and we have to go through the boundary changes again. But appreciation to not just the staff, but everyone who took part. I saw that we sent out, we reached out to 3,700 people and appreciate everyone who gave their feedback.
Trustee Ma?
Yes, I'm in favor of option C. I mean, all 3 options, as Trustee Fraser said, are very similar. I mean, option C sort of puts lowers the overall capacity in some of these schools. However, I think this is indicative of the times and of the future to come, that Vancouver is growing and we are increasing in density. And down the road, we need the land, we need to keep our land, and there may be new schools that are needed. So for now, I will support option C.
Okay, thank you. I do want to just say that the participant outreach by staff was, as Trustee Fraser mentioned, was very large. And so, as you mentioned, all the families and the community members, from daycares to community centers. So I do just want to acknowledge how much work. I know that a few trustees and I went to different open houses at the different elementary schools and schools that are going to be impacted by these catchment changes. And so I do just want to again say a lot of work went into it, from the comms team to our facilities team. Seeing no other comments, we'll go to a vote. Those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much to the board. And now we'll go to matters arising. Trustee Friedcote.
Yes, Chair, we have a recommendation from the Facilities Planning Committee regarding the naming of the elementary school at Cole Harbour. And I will ask Directors of Instruction, Shannon Burton and Chaz Desjardins, to introduce this before I move the motion in the package.
Thank you, Chair. So my name is Shannon Burton. I'm the director for the new school that will be in Cole Harbour, as well as the chair of the naming committee. And as everyone here knows, a new school is opening, under construction currently, and expected to open summer 2026. You can see from the photos the beautiful location where the school is situated, and the star marks the location of the school. So until now, the school has not had a name, and it's been referred to as the new school at Cole Harbour. We've followed a process guided by Admitted Procedure 541, naming new facilities, and this really emphasizes place-based names reflecting the local geography, and it honors Indigenous histories and language. And so the naming committee included the director, myself, director of instruction, Chaz Desjardins, the director of instruction for Indigenous education, inherent rights holders from Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh, a school community, PAC, teacher, administrator, and a student who is a King George student. So a huge thank you to the inherent rights holders and stakeholders on that committee for their commitment, dedication to the process. So the school community went through a process with students, staff, and families, and really engaged people in the reflection of the place of where that school will be. And so they proposed several names, and the naming committee selected Seaside Elementary School as the most appropriate English name. And this was shared at the November 5th Facilities and Planning Committee. In addition, at that meeting, the inherent rights holders representatives agreed that the three host nations would discuss gifted names for the school in both Hunkaminam and Squamish Snitcham languages. So this evening, I'm very honored to share the Indigenous names gifted for the school. This is very exciting. And want to just say that as part of my ongoing work, I'm also learning to pronounce these names. Musqueam and Tsleil-Waututh have gifted the Hunkaminam name of Sawas for the new school and noted the meaning of Sawas is facing out onto the water, facing away from the shore. And Squamish Okameo has gifted the Squamish Snitcham name Chawa'uch School. And this is for the area known now as Lost Lagoon. They noted the school overlooks not only the harbor, but the land of Chawa'uch Lost Lagoon. And the name is in relation to the tide. When it goes out, the area appears to be all dried up. And when the tide came in at its highest point, ancestors were able to canoe from one side to the other. So we are just so honored to receive these names from the inherent rights holders. The school's deeply committed to learning, and a plan is under development to ensure students, staff, and community understand the historical and cultural significance and also the responsibility that goes along with receiving these Indigenous names. So we are so thankful that we're bringing these to the board this evening. In accordance with the school opening and closure ministerial order, when a board decides to open a new school, it must notify the ministry in writing of the decision and include the approved school name in its communication. And so with that, I'm honored to make the recommendation that the board approve the name Seaside Elementary School, the name Sawas, gifted by Musqueam and Tsleil-Waututh, and the name Chawa'uch Schoolout, gifted by Squamish for the new school facility located at 482 Broughton Street. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Friedcote, would you like to move the motion?
Yes, Chair.
Seconded. Trustee Richardson, thank you. Any discussion? Sure. Yeah, Trustee Friedcote.
I just want to comment. I just love the name that's been gifted by the Musqueam and Tsleil-Waututh and Squamish Nation. It is very funny how you hear the name and it means different in different language, and that same word actually means in our language, in my language, a breath. So very, very happy to hear that name.
Beautiful. Seeing no, Trustee Fraser?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Shannon, for the detailed detailed description of how we got to this place. And I'm sure the board would like to acknowledge the work of the staff and also the work of the three nations in working collaboratively with the board on this. And this is a new process for us, and we are learning together. And I'm really happy that we were in this position today to be doing this.
I don't see any further discussion, so I'll go to the vote. All those in favor? Okay, it passes unanimously. Thank you for all the work that you've done, and thank you for the principal and the PAC chair for being here for the new school. We appreciate all the work that you've done and that you will continue to do in community, so thank you.
Unprivileged chair?
Yes.
Who are the PAC chair, and can you say their names or?
I actually don't have their name. Could we bring a microphone just so that you might be able to introduce yourself, please? And Riley, of course. If you're comfortable. We're happy to have you tonight.
Riley McMitchell, he, him, principal of the new school.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Angel, she, her. I'm the PAC chair of the new school, Seaside Elementary. Woo!
Wonderful. And I welcome you to start practicing the names, all three of the beautiful names. Thank you for being here tonight. We know that you didn't have to be, and we appreciate the support. Thank you to Shannon. Thank you to Chaz and the entire team for what has been a wonderful show of collaboration. Trustee Friedcoat, back to you. Any other matters arising?
No matter arising. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, item 6, Trustee Reddy.
Yeah, I did have two other matters arising from this meeting. One was about the kind of adjacent conversation about the update of the policy for renaming itself. If we could share here what the status of that is, because I believe we discussed it as a motion that was moved in 2023, and just wondering what the status of that is in light of school naming.
I'll ask the superintendent to comment.
Thank you for the question. So an ad hoc committee was created with 3 trustee representatives, and the request to do the work is with the Indigenous Education Council currently. We are planning, there's another meeting coming up in December. So after the outcome of this naming, we want to bring it back to the Indigenous Education Council and see who are the representatives who are going to continue doing the work on the naming and renaming policy as requested by the board. Thank you.
There was a second one, Trustee Reddy, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate the update as well. And my second matter arising has to do with the item at our meeting where we discussed the process for Carleton's proposed closure. And we had our meeting on Monday for the delegations. So there's 2 items that were brought up. One was the need for a community-based meeting. So not an information session, but a delegation. So just wondering if arrangements are being made for that in light of what we heard from delegations on Monday.
Secretary Treasurer.
The public engagement period for the proposed closure of Carleton Elementary has ended.
Follow up? Sure.
Thank you. So just to confirm, there won't be contemplation of what we heard from the delegates with regards to some of the needed additional engagement, as well as like the December 17th date, I believe, for our decision, which would mean we need to postpone that date in order to accommodate the request for additional community meetings. So we're not engaging that.
So we had engagement. We went through strenuous. We went through an engagement process that we all agreed on and that was proposed to the board and approved by the board. And so that has come to a close. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to comment that it is unfortunate in my view that we heard the delegates on Monday with regards to process and aren't able at this point to make adjustments. But thanks for the confirmation about the process that remains the same. Thanks.
Moving to 6.3, I'm going to ask that Trustee Fraser moves receipt of the report for November 12th.
Thank you, Chair. And I move receipt of the report for the November 12th, 2025 Finance and Personnel Committee meeting.
Is there a seconder? Trustee Friedcoat, any questions? Okay, seeing no questions about the report and seeing no objections, I will receive the report by consensus. Thank you. Matters arising.
Okay, the first matter arising is related to the statement for financial information. And the motion is that the board approve the statement of financial information for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2025.
Thank you for moving that. Do we have a seconder? Trustee Zhang, thank you. Questions? Yes, Trustee Fraser.
I can just say that there was discussion at the committee meeting and unanimous consent from the committee members to forward the recommendation to the board.
Thank you. Seeing no other comments or questions from trustees, I will ask all those in favor. Okay, it's moved unanimously. Thank you. Trustee Fraser.
Thank you. The second matter arising is related to the budget for next year, and it's that the board approve the 2026-2027 financial planning process.
Is there a seconder? Trustee Friedcote. Discussion. Trustee Ma.
Thank you, Chair. So in terms of, I'm looking at agenda package page 224 of 232, where it shows the flow chart. I'll just give everybody a moment to find it. So under April 2026, it shows that on April 7th, the draft financial plan will be released through a special public board meeting. My understanding of that we just revised and adopted a new policy 7 and policy 8. And in that policy, it talks about trustees having to give 4 weeks notice for motions. And if you look at when we are supposed to adopt the budget, which is April 29th, that does not give enough time to follow that 4-week requirement. 4 weeks from April 7th would be May the 5th. So my question, I guess, to the chair. Chair? Yes.
I hear you. You can
Okay,
continue.
thank you. So my question is, in the past, trustees have been able to bring motions a week before or anytime after the draft budget has been released, and trustees can put those motions on the floor when we debate the budget. So is the contemplation at this point that we have to submit those motions 4 weeks in advance, or would they be considered amendments that can be brought forward on the floor at any time leading up to the night that we debate the budget?
Trustee Ma, I would welcome you to read the 2 paragraphs right underneath. It says, in accordance with the Budget Transparency and Accountability Act, the Minister of Finance must present to the Legislative Assembly on or before the 4th Tuesday, blah, blah, blah. Under this timeline, the deadline for trustees to submit motions to amend the draft financial plan 2026 to 2027 will be April the 7th at noon. 17th, excuse me, April the 17th at noon, and the agenda for the April 20th, 2025 special public board meeting will be published on April the 17th by 5 p.m.
So we're not going by the 4-week rule then in this instance?
No.
And is that something that we should look at next time when we look at policy 7?
I welcome you to bring it up. As we know, this is crunch time. We work on it, on our budget a lot over the course of November on all the way to April. And so there are, I guess, restrictions as to allowing for that extra date, but as written in our actual schedule, it clearly states that you have time up until the 17th at noon.
So it's an exception to the rule of policy
Yes.
7 is what you're saying?
Yes.
Thank you.
Trustee Chen.
Thank you for bringing this up. On the page 224, as you mentioned, is a typo on April 20, 2026?
Sorry, can you say that again? There's a
typo
typo?
Typo on April 20, 2026.
Yes, thank you. Please do not submit in 2025 for the budget of 2026. Thank you for that. Any other comments? Trustee Reddy, please.
Thank you. Yeah, I know that at the committee we had quite a substantial conversation about the timeline, and we heard from stakeholders about a few areas for improvement in the timeline, specifically around the fact that April 7th, receiving the draft financial plan only gives stakeholders 1 day to sort of review what we're hoping is a comprehensive document. and give comment at the first Finance and Personnel Committee on April 8th, recognizing that stakeholders mentioned that would be restrictive and difficult to give meaningful feedback. The second one was that if public engagement ends on the 16th, it's not clear when the board would actually receive a report on what the public needs are in order to meet this April 17th noon deadline. That it doesn't seem transparent or possible to be accountable to what we're actually hearing from the public. And the third piece that also came up at the committee was that April 29th is kind of arbitrarily earlier than we need it to be, again, compressing the timeline and limiting our ability to make a good reflective budget process. So I won't be voting in favor of it because I don't see any of those changes reflected on the timeline as it stands.
I'd like to address some of the comments you made because I too was at that committee meeting, and the short timeline between the special public board meeting when the draft financial plan is released and the Finance and Personnel Committee is small. However, that's why the April 13th date is there. So that is where stakeholders are able to come and essentially delegate and speak to the board on those. And that is why that time frame was approved. And that's what we discussed in the committee meeting. The second comment around public engagement, I don't know what the turnaround is, and possibly comms can comment on after the public engagement ends, what the timeline is for the board receiving any sort of feedback. And I'll ask the Secretary Treasurer.
So like in prior years, you receive a summary of the public engagement up to when we table the budget before or with the April 7th budget. So anything that is heard before that, you receive that feedback together with the draft financial plan. From there on, the process trustees are going to be at the committee of the whole meeting. They're going to be at the special public delegation board meeting, hearing directly from the stakeholders and the public. Similar to prior years, any written feedback that we collect, we will share it with the trustees as it is received, so that you have the ability to review that feedback as it comes in. And we will also prepare a summary for you, and we'll attempt to summarize as much as possible for before the April 20th board meeting, and have the final summary available for you before you actually have to consider the approval of the financial plan on April 29th.
Trustee Richardson, did you want to comment on Trustee Reddy's third piece, or in regard to the timeline, or did you, may I?
Maybe both.
Okay, well, actually, why don't you go ahead, and then go ahead,
Okay.
sir.
Madam Chair, I would like to thank staff for this report. I think this board has heard the this reflects, although last year was our first year of kind of expanding into January, the budget process, which this details. Unfortunately, last year, due to announcement timetabling issues in terms of the provincial government, we weren't able to initiate it so early. But so I reflect upon my earlier comments this evening that we have some tough decisions to make, and we're not getting a lot of help from across the water. So this process is so very important, and it outlines and it gives people the opportunity, there's people that care about this system, to make that input. And I encourage that, and hopefully nothing will get in the way of that extended process, which we will be party to. My last comment I'd like to comment is there was a suggestion that insinuates that there's an arbitrariness in terms of the early deadline for the conclusion of this process. And I think it's now April 29th. And I'm disappointed because this board has been advised of contractual obligations that this board, complexities that this board faces in terms of possible notification of various union to comply with the various union contracts. So although, and I know in the past we had very clearly indicated that this district, unlike some other districts, probably smaller and less complex, that they follow the April 30th deadline or the June 30th deadline that the provincial government requires. In this district, we have, at least in the 10 or 11 years that I've been, and there was a break in there, but we abide by an April 30th deadline so that we can agree to comply with contractual obligations. So to suggest that there's some arbitrary cutting off of the process, I think is disingenuous, and would suggest that in fact we could let it slide into May and maybe into June and maybe the end of June. But that just doesn't work in terms of our process. So with those comments, I suggest that I would ask my fellow trustees to pass this process. And I think we just are giving notice to the community and all the stakeholders and rights holders and the community at large that we need some very creative ideas and thoughts in this budget process so that we can meet the needs of our students.
Trustee Friedcoat?
Thank you, Chair. My question is, if we approve this right now, the timeline that we have for submitting a motion is 4 weeks, but we have an exception for the budget time. Should we not be going back into the policy 7 and changing those timelines so that it aligns all the time instead of having an exception just for the budget period?
Secretary Treasurer, would you care to comment on how that would work?
So in the case of the financial planning process, you have a unique structure in a special public board meeting for motions to amend the draft financial plan. So there is a very specific type of motion that would be considered that is very much tied to the timeline that is approved on an annual basis for the financial plan. And including an amendment to policy would be difficult given that you have variations to your annual financial planning process that the board approves every year. So in my opinion, it is better for the board to incorporate this type of decision with the financial planning process so that all the trustees are in alignment and support the agreed upon timeline for the amendments to the financial plan, the draft financial plan that is tabled.
Follow up? Go ahead.
Sorry, just to follow up to that. So I totally agree that this is the timeline and we really need to approve the budget within that timeline. However, in policy 7, if we go back to submitting a motion in a week, it actually aligns with this financial planning at the same time. So we're not only including the notice of motion just for exception of the budget time, but we're actually doing it for the whole time for all other motions as well.
Okay, noted. I'm going to go to Trustee Reddy. I don't see any other hands up. Oh, sorry. I thought you were proposing if we change this, then this would happen. And it's true because that's how it used to be, but that's not what we approved as a board and what we heard from stakeholder groups through 27 or whatever it was meetings. Would you like to comment?
I will just point out, like, if the timeline was a week before the meeting, that notice would have to be provided on April 13th, which would prevent the board from actually hearing all the feedback from the public and stakeholders before motions are brought forward. So having this special dispensation to submit motions on April 17th, it's actually giving you the opportunity to hear all the feedback and then submit a motion. If we had a week, then it would be impossible within this time frame.
Trustee Richard, did you have a question on what Secretary Treasurer just said, or did you?
No, I think I was just voicing that the board always has, I believe in terms of our policy, is to be able to deal with emergent motions. And that one way of addressing this exception, it isn't really an exception by name, it's really recognizing that this process is really an emergent issue, that therefore this board has the ability to deal with a motion. The 4-week is a general for just, I won't say be disrespectful, miscellaneous motions. Those are the 4-week ones, but the ones that are emergent that we have to deal with because of time constraints, this is one. And so, you know, I would argue it's emergent, not an exception, and therefore there's no need to reconsider policy 7. But that's just my opinion.
Thank you very much, Trustee Richardson. We're going to go to Trustee Reddy. Thanks for your patience.
Thank you. So yeah, just wanting to confirm. So at the committee meeting when we did discuss, I just want to clarify. I don't think the comment was to postpone the budget approval process by months, but just a week or two from what I recall. And that might be more clear in the minutes here. But not seeing even the front of the schedule change with respect to the conversation we had would still lead me to vote against the timeline. Thank you.
And on that, I'm confused because I know that we have a 60-day window for a notice period of April 30th to respect our collective agreement. So perhaps I'm misunderstanding how we could contractually respect those, how we could respect those contracts by your timeline. That's, unless I'm misunderstanding, because we are bound by the agreements that we have with our partners. Okay, any other comments or questions? Trustee Ma.
Yeah, I'd like to comment on what is stated in the conclusion of Agenda Package 225 of 232. I'll give people a moment to find that. And it's the second paragraph underneath the header that says conclusion. While I recognize that the board's responsibility is to pass a balanced budget, I also feel that I'm going to have to vote no for this process because of what is stated in the paragraph, particularly where it talks about that we are to look at a budget where the cost of delivering educational programming per student can be lowered. I do not agree with that. I don't think that we can talk about education and talk about savings, because our role is to try to enhance education, protect education, and promote public education. And when we go into a budget where we're talking about programming and looking at cutting programming, what message does that send to the public in terms of their ability to comment on what they see as their priority? We're already going out of the gate, out of gate, telling the parameters to the public of what we are going to try to look at. So having said that, I can't support this process because I think that it's an exercise where people are going to come forward, try to express themselves, talk about what they see as trying to improve the situation in Vancouver. And therefore, at the end of the day, we're looking at trying to recover costs and cost cutting. So for that, I can't support this process.
Trustee Friedko?
Sorry, just a clarification and a comment. What I'm reading here, I believe that the cost of delivering educational programming per student can be lowered. Doesn't mean the quality of the programming is lower. Like we're not lowering the cost of providing service to the student, but we're actually the cost it takes to whatever it takes to do the programming, that will be lowered. I don't know if Secretary Treasurer, can you clarify on that, please? That's what my understanding is.
So the intent here is for us to look critically at the cost of everything in the district and identify ways in which we can deliver same or even better programming at a lower cost. As we know, like there are many ways in which we can structure the delivery of programs, and without that critical strategic review, we cannot assure the board that the very limited resources that are at our disposal are used in the best way to support education in the school district.
Trustee Zhang.
Thank you, Chair. As I see it, in the way that it pertains to the financial planning process, the wording used is probably appropriate given the time or the situation we are in. As resources and money becomes ever tighter, there's probably an onus on the Vancouver School Board to control costs at minimum. I've never seen anybody intended to lower the quality of programming through the financial planning process. I think that would be totally contrary to our ed plan. It'd be totally contrary to the mission of Vancouver School Board. Insofar as the wording can be interpreted to mean that, that depends on each individual trustee, I think.
Trustee Chen.
Understanding thank you, Chair. Understanding everyone would like to have a more like casual timeline or like to respect all the stakeholder group to provide feedbacks. But then I do feel that like for this tightened timeline is actually more stressful for the staff. And I do appreciate the staff is willing to propose this like as it's very stressful. And with limited budget like from the provincial government, while staff is willing to support with this like tighten like budget timeline, I do fully support on this motion. Thank you.
Anyone who hasn't spoken yet would like to speak? Okay, we'll go to Trustee Chan Pedley and then Trustee Ma.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think the process is quite robust, and I would, if you disagree with the timing of things, I think that's like a fair way to not be in support of it. But in terms of like a wording thing, that seems like a pretty silly thing to not vote in favor of this very robust process.
Okay, Trustee Ma.
When you cut positions, when you change programming, that does impact the quality of education. And I'm going to reserve comment for the actual budget debate. Thank you.
Sorry, can you correct me? I don't see anything about cutting programming. Does it specifically say that?
Chair?
Deliver cost effective. Yeah.
Yeah, so what I'm referring to is paragraph 2.
Yes.
And the line item that says where the cost of delivering educational programming per student can be lowered.
Oh, sorry. Okay. And it begins with and identify strategies for that. Okay. So it doesn't specifically say that, just says identify strategies. Are there any other comments before we go to the vote? Those in favor that the board approve the 2026-27 financial planning process? Okay. Trustee Zhang, Richardson, Chan Pedley, Fraser, and Young, and Richardson. Those opposed? Trustee Reddy and Trustee Ma. Abstentions? Trustee Friedcote. We'll now go to, excuse me while I organize myself here. Okay, back to Trustee Fraser.
There are no more matters arising.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask Trustee Chan Pedley to move receipt next.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'd like to move receipt report of the Policy and Governance Committee meeting of November 12, 2025.
Is there a seconder? Trustee Friedcote. Any questions about the report? Trustee Reddy.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I do have a question about the minutes, and this maybe is for the Secretary Treasurer. It's about minutes for all the committees. Only the Policy and Governance Committee references individuals leaving at a certain time, whereas for facilities or finance or education, that isn't mentioned. I'm just wondering why that's the case for Policy and Governance only.
Good question. Secretary Treasurer?
I think we were extremely thorough with the minuting at this meeting. We usually, like if there's a committee member that departs the meeting, we note. Usually we would note for a trustee because it counts towards quorum for the meeting.
Yes.
Thanks. If I could ask that it is consistent, that would be more helpful, just so that we know what the practice is and expectation is there. Thank you.
And a question around procedure. I know often if I'm chairing a meeting, we try and verbally state if somebody has to go. Is that then detailed in the reports?
If a member of the committee or a member of the board departs, so a committee member departs the meeting and they announce their departure, then we would note that in the minutes. If at the board meeting, a trustee leaves the board meeting, we would note that in the minutes too.
Okay, no, thank you for that clarification. Are there any other, Trustee Fraser?
I'd like to suggest that the minutes be amended in light of what Trustee Reddy has said, to remove the names of the 2 staff members who left the meeting and just to retain that it was one of the committee members who left the meeting. I think that's the consistency that's being looked for. So I'd like to move that amendment.
Seconded by Trustee Reddy?
No, just a comment that also
Sorry,
in
can we
the.
second it before you comment, just for procedural purposes? Okay, it's seconded by Trustee Friedcoat. Go ahead, Trustee Reddy.
Yeah, just on that amendment, I'm thinking that the same should be done then for facilities because it doesn't indicate when a trustee left earlier. So again, why in just one committee and not others? Yeah.
And another question on that, is it only for members of the committee to maintain quorum, or because no other decisions are going to be made?
So we only note members of the committee. So if a trustee attended the meeting just as an observer, we don't note if that trustee left the meeting early because they don't count towards quorum.
So if it's an alternate and they're not required to be there because there's quorum already, they won't be noted. Okay, Trustee Reddy?
Just a clarification about that. So in our updated policy, it does state that the chair of the board is a member of all committees. So in that case, you would be considered part of quorum.
That
right?
is incorrect. That is only if I'm like a de facto, right. So if there's lack of quorum, then I become a member of that committee. So I recall the meeting you're referencing a couple weeks ago, and I was not, I was de facto, I was present, but there was 3, I believe, members of the committee, which created quorum. Yeah, we added, sorry, and just for reference, we added that into a policy because we were having trouble maintaining quorum, and so I step in when there's not quorum. Any other comment before? Okay, so right now we have the amendment. We're going to vote on the amendment. All those in favor of amending it to only include the trustee and not the staff member? Trustee Friedcoat, Zhang, Richardson, Chan Pedley, Ma, Fraser, and Young. Those opposed? Those abstaining? Okay, Trustee Reddy, thank you very much. I appreciate that conversation from everyone, and we'll go back to the report being received as amended. Thank you. The report being received as amended. Okay. Any objections to receiving the report by consensus? Okay, thank you very much. Matters arising, Trustee Chan Pedley.
Madam Chair, there are no matters arising.
Thank you very much. We'll move to our student trustee report. Thank you for your patience while we get work done, and we now look forward to hearing from you, Freddie.
Thank you. In this report, I will provide an update on VDST's annual Canley Cup fundraiser, leadership retreat, as well as other initiatives advancing student leadership and engagement. The annual Canley Cup launched on November 3rd, and schools across the district have been hard at work on their promotional and fundraising efforts. The competition runs until December 12th, and we are already seeing strong participation across the district. On Tuesday, November 25th, VDSC held its annual retreat, bringing together student representatives for workshops focused on leadership development, collaboration, and team building. The activities focused on strengthening collaboration, exploring the role and importance of student perspectives, and gathering input to inform our initiatives for the upcoming school year. VDSC is extremely grateful for Chair Young, Vice Chair Fraser, Trustee Richardson, Trustee Ma, as well as Superintendent McGregor for taking time out of their day to speak with students and connect during the retreat. Council members at the retreat also discussed new ways to expand our reach, raise student awareness of valuable and interesting opportunities, and boost overall engagement. The group further discussed how VDSC can ensure students know that a platform for their voices exists and is ready to listen and support them. Additionally, at the retreat, VDSC student representatives on the board standing committees delivered reports on the November meetings, relaying key discussion topics of interest to students. VDSC looks forward to continuing to represent students in board discussions. Finally, to further promote the VSB Student Leadership Fund, VDSC has published a short informational video on Instagram at VDS Council. The video has garnered a reach of over 10,000 views so far, reflecting student interest across the district, and we are excited to continue raising awareness of this important opportunity for student projects. I'm grateful for these opportunities to share student perspectives. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to providing further updates about student initiatives.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from trustees? Trustee Fraser?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your report. And I was able to be for a small time at the retreat. I'm just curious if, having been there and seeing how it played out, were there any I don't know if this was a discussion towards the end of the meeting about how to improve for the next one next year. I'm just curious if there have been discussions about that, or if you have any thoughts that you could share on that.
Thank you for the question to the chair. Yes, our student representatives had some time at the end of the retreat to discuss how we can further improve for the next year, and we collected all the feedback and are really looking forward to reviewing it in the future.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much, Freddie, and thank you for welcoming us to your leadership retreat. It is an absolute pleasure to sit down with students who are engaged, and I want to acknowledge that some are in the audience today, and we thank you for welcoming us into your leadership retreat and for sharing and for being open and authentic with our conversations. It was, I can personally say it was very enjoyable, and I also love to hear about what's happening at all the different schools. So thank you again to you for joining us tonight, as well as for welcoming us to your leadership retreat. Okay, I would like to just say our link for submitting questions to the meeting the link is now closed. I'm going to take a quick recess so that everyone can gather themselves. We'll take a quick 10 minutes and be back at 8:53. Thank you. I appreciate that I was a few minutes late. It's not now 9 o'clock, so thank you for your patience. We are now at agenda item 8, which is reports from trustee representatives, and there are no reports in the package right now. And then we'll go to number 9 on the agenda package, which is new business. We have no new business on the agenda, so we'll move to notices of motion. We have 2 notices of motion in the agenda package this evening. The first is from myself, trustee Young, for reinstating funding for graduated students under the age of 19 who are continuing the second year of their trades training program with school districts. So I'm going to ask Vice Chairperson Fraser to take over chair, please.
Okay, thank you, Chair. And would you like to move your notice of motion?
I would. Yes, thank you. I'll read them. I move that the board approve the following motion to be submitted to the 2026 BC School Trustees Association AGM. That the BCSTA write to the Minister of Education and Childcare and the Minister of Finance asking them to reinstate funding for graduated students under the age of 19 who are continuing the second year of their trades training program with school districts. And that the board authorize the board chairperson to advocate to industry leaders, trade organizations, and post-secondary institutions to garner support for reinstating funding for graduated students under the age of 19 who are continuing the second year of their trades training program with school districts.
Okay, thank you. And is there a seconder for the motion? Trustee Richardson. And Chair Young, would you like to speak to the motion or would you like to refer to committee?
Thank you. I would like to make some comments before referring, if you would allow. This did come to our advocacy subcommittee meeting because we have an incredible careers program and careers department here at the VSB. And we have seen, actually, let me refer to my notes here. So this motion addresses a critical gap in supporting youth pursuing skilled trades. I do acknowledge that we are elected for K-12 education. However, this is an important part of the development of the kids who go through K-12 in our VSB. We are asking the board or the ministry to reinstate block funding eligibility for graduated students under 19 continuing level 1 apprenticeship training through the youth train and trades program. We have seen a 300% increase since 2019 of interest in trades, and mostly through underrepresented groups. Current policy excludes graduated students from the 1701 funding, even if they're still school-aged. This forces students to pay out of pocket and creates inequity, especially for lower income families. Before 2020, districts could claim that 1701 funding for students, making the programs more sustainable. So if, for example, electrical level 1 used to generate $3,450 of net revenue, now it's $350, barely covering the costs. Our career programs have delivered 200,000 plus apprenticeship hours and $4 million in economic benefit. We risk losing momentum. So I ask the board to support this, a call to action. So approve this, of course, and we'll take it to the BC SDA AGM. And then also by authorizing some more advocacy to the leaders in the industry. We already work with a lot of them. And if you follow anyone from our career department, they are always posting really great stories of the partnerships we have with industry within Vancouver and even outside of Vancouver. So I do think that's really important. And also to the post-secondary partners, we have great relationships with them, but also the Minister of Post-Secondary. I don't know who it will fall under now because there have been some changes provincially. However, this is an investment in equity, workforce development, and by removing barriers and helping students complete their training, we are actually investing in students, in our district and also the economy. So I urge you to support this motion, and I would, before referring to committee, I know that a lot of us have discussed this at the advocacy subcommittee and some other sitting around the table with other partners. And so if there's any objection or if there's any comments before, sorry, I'm not chairing the meeting right now. But I would like to refer, but before so, if there's any other comment from trustees, chair.
I think the comment would come, I don't think there should be, if you're going to refer, then the comments come later.
Question, Chair. I have spoken in great deal about this at a few different meetings, and I can't recall if after we went from advocacy subcommittee, it went back to committee and we discussed there. I've had so many meetings on this, I apologize.
I don't believe it's come back. Sorry, you're going to go ahead, Secretary Treasurer.
Okay, I ask that we do refer to Ed Plan to speak to, would it be Ed Plan?
I'm not sure what the referral is about. The motion is very clear, so it doesn't state what the referral would entail. It's been discussed at advocacy, received that policy and governance is coming to the board. If it goes back to a committee, would be helpful to know why it's going to that committee. Also, it may not, like you may be out of time by the time it comes back from a committee to submit this to the next BCSD AGM.
Thank you. I then ask the chair for us to vote on this at this time.
All right, so the motion has been moved and seconded, and the mover has spoken to the motion. Are there any other comments from trustees on the motion? Trustee Zhang and then Trustee Richardson.
Thanks, Chair. To the extent that we as VSB can affect the supply side of trades in the country or in the province, I think we should do so. I think it's a worthwhile initiative to try and supply our economy and get kids started in jobs early, especially in the trades where there are clear shortages. Maybe that can contribute to lowering the cost of some of the things we often talk about in public. Thanks.
Thank you, Trustee Richardson.
I speak in favor of the motion. I just comment that I think the thought to refer back to the committee was as we would in a motion where there may in fact be a desire to seek rights holders and stakeholders' comments. The fact that it's gone to the advocacy committee, it may have already kind of had that opportunity for those people to comment, but it may be an emergent motion in effect, in the sense that there's a timeliness to it. And then in that case, I would suggest we pass it tonight, but that if there's any help that any of the, I guess it's our unions would have any comments on it, that they may want to come directly to us so that we can help in this effort. Thank you.
Right, I don't see any other comments, so then we should go to the vote. All those in favor? There's unanimous support for this motion. And I will hand the chair back to you, Chair.
Thank you, and thank you all for the support. We are all extremely dedicated to our jobs, and I appreciate that this doesn't, I appreciate the support. Next, we'll move to the notice of motion from Trustee Friedcote regarding feasibility and cost assessment for secure bike storage at elementary schools.
Thank you, Chair. I request everyone to support my motion that the board directs staff to investigate the feasibility and cost of installing secure bicycle storage infrastructure such as locked bike cages at all elementary schools within the district and report back to the board with the findings and recommendations.
Moved by Trustee Friedcote, seconded by Trustee Chen, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, Chair, thank you. So I'm not sure about everybody else, but I have received multiple correspondence from parents expressing concerns about multiple incidents of bicycle theft and vandalism on school grounds during and after school hours. These incidents highlighted the need for improved bike security measures to ensure that students and staff can safely store their bikes while at school. Providing secure bike storage aligns with the district's sustainability, safety, and active transportation goals. It encourages environmentally friendly travel to school and support families who choose cycling as a mode of transportation. A staff report outlining options, cost estimates, potential funding sources, and implementation consideration would assist the board in determining appropriate next steps to enhance bike security across all elementary schools. Thank you.
Trustee Ma.
Question to the mover. So my understanding is that the board directs the superintendent, and then the superintendent decides to direct that work to the staff. So was that your intent or in your motion, or are you directly telling the staff you would like to have this done?
I'm actually asking for the staff to report back to the board with the finding and recommendations.
It's implied, it's through the superintendent. But would you like to move an amendment to
Yeah.
say that the board direct the superintendent?
Yes, I would. Thank
Okay,
you.
let's do that. Seconded by Trustee Chen Pedley. Thank you. I think let's actually, if everyone's okay with it, we'll just go ahead and vote on this amendment to update this to say that the board direct the superintendent. All those in favor? Okay, unanimous, thank you. Okay, back to Trustee Ma.
Yeah, I have a question to the mover. You asked for elementary schools. Was there a reason why you didn't include secondary schools?
I believe many secondary schools already have a safe space where they can put their bikes in. I've heard from many elementary schools where the bikes are stored outside, and that's where I came up only for the elementary school, not for the secondary yet.
Follow up?
Yes, I would like to propose an amendment. I would like to propose at all elementary and secondary schools.
Is that seconded? Trustee Reddy, thank you. Trustee Ma?
Thank you. So I think while we're looking at the feasibility and the cost, bike theft and vandalism happens in all of our schools. And if we can do anything to mitigate that, I think we should do that while we're doing this study. So I don't think that doing the study is going to force us to make a decision to go with both secondary and elementary, but it would be good to do a thorough study and come back with a thorough plan.
Comments from trustees? Trustee Richardson.
Not to prolong this, I think it's a good idea, but through the chair, but I think that we did the last time we were asked something about bicycles, it was merely for any bicycle rack. And I think that was Emily Carr's school that came to us. So we may in fact want to look at what our inventory of bike or necessary need for bike racks in general. As for secure ones, my only comment is we're coming into budget season, as we're well aware, but I'm not sure in terms of the priority of it. So
Are you
may
speaking
want to
to
justify.
the amendment currently, or are you speaking to the motion as a whole? Because we are currently on the newest amendment, which is to include secondary schools.
Okay, then put it in because I think most
We'll come back to
secondary
discuss.
schools have those structures anyways. But if there's some we've missed, we might as well pick it up. Thank you.
Any other comment before we vote on this amendment? Okay, those in favor of the amendment? Unanimous, thank you. Now we'll go back to the amended motion. And I'd like to ask Trustee Richardson if you'd like to comment before anyone else. Thank you. Trustee Ma.
A further question to the mover. So the motion says with findings and recommendations. When do we want to have this done, and would we want it done prior to the budget setting process, or is this just an ongoing finding or exploration?
I'm actually, if you don't mind, I just want to ask, I'll refer to staff on what a timeline would look like, as we do have 116 plus, well, more than that buildings, but we have lots. I'll refer to Flavia Coughlin.
This matter being related to our facilities and capital investment, it would align well with considerations for submission to the provincial government for infrastructure that will be due in September of next year, so September 2026. I would suggest that we would have something ready to consider as part of our submission to government at that time.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from trustees? We'll move to a vote. Okay, I would like to ask those in favor of the amended motion that you currently see up on the board. Those in favor? Okay, it passes unanimously. Thank you. Next on the agenda, public question period. Okay, so we had 4 questions, and I'll quickly summarize what the question was. So the first question we had was about recordings and photography during public meetings. So as per policy 7, 10.1, policy authorizes the chair to stop any disruptions with regard to recordings, including photography if deemed inappropriate, or if it interferes with the conduct of the board and the board proceedings of the meeting. Next, we have a question about staff presenting at delegation meetings, and this is nuanced, so I appreciate the question. So the purpose of public delegation meetings is to hear from members of the public, and as such are meant for external community members. Policy 7 does not explicitly prohibit staff from speaking, but the structure and intent of these meetings suggest staff do not normally present at these meetings because the purpose is actually to receive input from the public. However, staff presented at the beginning of the last delegation meeting as per policy 14, where it states that rationale, timing, and implications of a proposed school closure shall be presented at the beginning of a public meeting. Question about the timing of financial planning, the process itself. And so this evening, earlier tonight, we approved as a board the financial planning process, which includes a revised timeline for motions to be considered at a special board meeting. So on April 20th, 2026, where only motions to amend the draft financial plan tabled on April the 7th, 2026 will be considered. So in this case, a 2/3 vote will not be required at the April 20th board meeting for motions related to the financial plan to be considered. Quorum and noting of trustee absences, which we kind of discussed already in the meeting, but just to add to that, and we invite those who are wondering about that to actually review our policy 8 to learn more about quorum at board standing committee meetings. Just a little bit of extended education on that, and that's our board policy 8. So I'm going back now to agenda item 12, which is to report out. And so I'd like to report, the board authorized the board chair to report to the November 26th, 2025 public meeting that at the special private session of November the 6th, 2025, the board discussed a legal matter. That at the special private session of November the 14th, I just need to correct my dates here, excuse me. Okay, that at the special private session of November the 14th, 2025, the board discussed a legal matter. At the special private session of November the 26th, which was earlier tonight, 2025, the board discussed a personnel matter. that at the special private session of November the 26th, 2025, the board discussed personnel, property, legal matters, business interests, and a bargaining matter. I'd like to include that trustees Friedcote, Fraser, and Richardson recused themselves for part of the meeting due to a potential conflict of interest, and that trustee Richardson had recused himself for part of the October 29th, 2025 private board meeting due to a potential conflict of interest. Okay, I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you for being here. I realize it's now 9:20 and I'd like to adjourn. So if no objections, trustee Fraser, we have an objection.
I don't have an objection to adjourning, but in reporting out the private sessions, you misspoke. The second November 26th meeting was a regular meeting, not a special private.
Thank you very much. I will correct that at the not special, excuse me. Yeah, that at this is 12.4. Please accept my correction here, that at the private session of November the 26th, 2025, the board discussed personnel, property, legal matters, business interests, and a bargaining matter. Thank you for that correction. All matters on the agenda have been completed. Thank you all again for being here. It is 9:20. I am adjourning the meeting. Okay, thank you.